is enough.
I want the world to be the best place for my children.
You are not alone.
We need renegades to be part of this movement, and they're the ones that are going to change the world.
Welcome back to Renegade Radio, the podcast dedicated to the dissenters of the status quo, bringing you the mindset and strategies to build a healthier, happier, and stronger family, the Renegade way.
It's so important to be a renegade.
Welcome back, Renegade listeners, to episode 9 of FAQ Friday. This is Dr. Todd.
And Carolina.
And today we're going to talk to you about a question we get from different angles from different people all the time. So it's not one specific question that was sent in to us. But the question is, how did you end up in Gympie, Queensland? First of all, you tend to have a little chuckle just with the name Gympie. But we'll retouch briefly on some of the topics that brought us to Australia in the first place. In episode 0, the origins of the Renegade family, we get into how did all this happen and some renegade moments we have. But we haven't really, we just want to go in a little more detail because it's a question that we get all the time and we would like to give you a solid answer. And hopefully our answer would... you will be applicable to you in your own life and having renegade moments and having the strength and the faith to take action.
Hopefully inspire.
Yeah, inspire you. So the question is, how did we end up in Gympie, Queensland? And for those of you who don't live in Australia, or some of you that do, you're still going, where's Gympie? In the US, they use terms like BFE, and in Australia it's whoop whoop. But Gympie is really not that far removed. We're about 2 hours drive north of the capital of Queensland, which is Brisbane, and about an hour northwest of the Sunshine Coast, which is the beach and a lot of touristy areas and Noosa Heads and beautiful, beautiful places. So we're just up the road in the hinterlands of that, which is just green rolling hills and pastures and just a small town of about 25,000 in the actual town limits, and then there's another 25,000 or so spread out, in the region, most of which are farmers and so on.
And I think a lot of Australians have been through Queensland just because it's on the Bruce Highway, whereas a lot of the towns are off the Bruce Highway.
Yeah, been through Gympie.
So been through Gympie. You might have stopped at the duck ponds or somewhere else to have a cuppa or some lunch or toilet break.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a stop through town.
Well, I'll just quickly lay down our foundation as to how we got here, and I'll let Carolina elaborate a little bit where need be. But the long story short is we were living in Carlsbad, which is a northern suburb of San Diego. Beautiful place by the beach, but nonetheless, Southern California, very crowded, very expensive. There's very much you scratch the surface, and it's very much a consumer-driven market. Keep up with the Joneses. And, we got caught up in all that and just trying to run a business and start a family. And long story short, we just came to a head. We had a renegade moment. We knew that we needed to make a massive change. We needed to get out.
And doors opened for Australia.
Doors opened for Australia. We like to say, God opened some doors, and we could have shrank and been afraid. And, it wasn't easy leaving our family and everything we knew, but we sold everything that we had pretty much, and whatever fit in suitcases and so on. We relocated originally to Bundaberg, Queensland, as I was sponsored there to work at a chiropractic office. And Bundaberg is another small town in Queensland, and we really loved it there. It was a wonderful
farming community,
wonderful time. It was on the coast. We lived in a little beach town, suburbs, Bagara.
It's sugarcane spot. That's where Bundaberg Rum is and Bundaberg Brewing Company.
Yeah, there's quite a bit there. But it was also the agricultural center, I believe, of all of Australia, if not maybe just Queensland, but maybe all of Australia, which means when you fly in, all you see for miles and miles and Ks is crops and farms, meaning that unfortunately, it's not all organic. So decades worth of spraying and herbicides, pesticides, etc. And if you listen to our first episode, we talked about our daughter Tiana having some issues at birth, which led to her being on antibiotics, which screwed up her gut microbiome and thus her immune system. And we've been dealing with that ever since. And living in Bundaberg, it kind of came to a head.
She developed some asthma, was hospitalized.
Yeah,
eczema.
Pretty well out of nowhere. We found ourselves in an emergency room. She was having an acute asthma attack, tracheal pulls and blue lips. And so that happened, and we started looking for answers, and this is in spite of eating healthy foods, getting adjusted regularly, all those things. And we did not want to be in doctors' offices, and we did not want her to be medicated. So we thought, well, we got to get away from we thought the environment was toxic. So that then brought us to Adelaide.
So, yeah, we had that challenge in Bundaberg. We realized that we needed to change our environment. So we ended up purchasing a practice in Adelaide. And Todd went there before I did, myself and the kids. He started it up, got our place, got it all organized. It was so nice. And my parents flew over from the States, and we took a road trip from Bundaberg all the way down to Adelaide.
Which is about, I'm thinking miles for our U.S. compatriots, about 1,200 miles probably. A good ways.
I don't know.
Yeah, a couple thousand kilometers.
It took us like a week to get there. But pretty much as soon as I got to Adelaide, I just wanted to go back to Queensland.
Moving from the States to Australia, that was our first Renegade moment. And then pulling up stakes in Bundaberg almost very quickly was another Renegade moment. We had to leave. We had to leave comfort. We had a great income source. We had friends. But we had to pull up stakes. Obviously, our daughter's health was priority. Went to Adelaide. We realized
for greener pastures.
Yeah, and look, it served its purpose, and we have no regrets. I'm sure God brought us there for a reason.
He did.
But we
met the Valentes.
Yeah, hello Valentes.
And everyone else.
And long story short, God opened a door for us to leave. A friend and colleague offered to purchase our practice, so we
out of the blue.
So we did.
Yeah, we prayed
about it. We wanted to get back to Queensland, basically. Sunshine, if you can imagine, warm weather, palm trees, laid back culture. Everybody's wearing thongs, which in Australia is a flip flop for you Americans.
Dirty.
Not thong like bikinis, although I'm sure that's around. I gave that up years back. But anyway.
Well, what was interesting is that we were both really quiet about our feelings about Adelaide. And then
we invested a lot to move, so we didn't want to voice, hey, I don't really like it here.
But one day you just kind of came to me and you said, I think we were on a date or something. And you just said, I don't know if I'm really liking it here in Adelaide. What do you think about if we go back to Queensland? And I had just been praying about it, and I didn't want to say anything. And I was just, seeking God. How is this going to happen? Make me happy here, because I really need to make the most of this situation. Tiana was in a really bad way in her health when we were in Adelaide. And I just felt really down and depressed and trying to make the most of the situation, because I knew that that's where we were planted. We needed to make the best of it. And then as soon as Todd told me that, I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness, because I feel the same way. And then it was from that moment we were strategizing how to get out of there. And then we got this phone call from a colleague.
Friend,
and there had been a practice just around the corner for sale for 2 years?
Yeah, it took them a couple of years.
And we didn't even put ours up on the market.
Yep, God answers.
We just got a phone call.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
It's just all in God's hands. We were praying about it, put it in God's hands, and it all worked out for the best. And then we thought we had an opportunity to purchase a practice.
Yeah, so we were looking at some opportunities in northern Queensland, around Mackay, for those of you who know Australia, and had some colleagues and people that I worked with in the past that maybe I could either buy into an existing group or maybe buy a practice. But we decided to, in the interim, we basically sold the practice, so we were basically jobless and homeless. So we thought, well, before we settle down,
we were just renting in Adelaide.
Yeah, it was great. So rather than committing to settling somewhere, we thought, well, let's take this opportunity of this bit of freedom we have. So we bought a caravan, which in the States, I believe you'd call that we just call it a camper trailer, which is basically like a motorhome without the motor that you tow. It's like a big, pretty comfortable, etc. Anyway, long story short is we found one that we loved.
And it was perfect.
It was perfect. And we went from Adelaide, which is at the very bottom, kind of in the middle of Australia, went right up the middle to see the outback and to Uluru, Ayers Rock. And
so our plan was to just be gone and traveling for, 6 or 7 weeks?
Yeah, a few weeks before I had to do a locum.
Yeah, but we thought maybe we should just get this caravan that was big enough for us to potentially live in, just in case we couldn't find a house in Mackay, and just so that way we could be comfortable during our trip. And so, yeah, packed everything in boxes, packed our caravan full of, like 5 kilos of salt,
well, we just
like
packed
10
it up.
liters of olive oil, rice, canned tomatoes, everything, packed everything that we had. And
I think our
went
truck
on
could
an
barely
adventure.
pull it. Yeah, the adventure was awesome. So, again, renegade moment again. We just said, stuff
Yeah,
it. You know
everyone
what?
was like, are you crazy? You don't have any work. Do you even know where you're going?
Yeah, and we didn't. And by the time we sold everything and did all that, we didn't have a ton of money either. So, but we just, it's like one of those things. The kids are young. We're not going to have this window and this season again. So let's take advantage of it. Let's milk,
and
carpe diem kind of thing.
We were on the same page, which is something too that I was praying about. And I've always wanted to do this, and to be able to do it with your family, and to have you, Todd, say that was okay. And,
Yeah, it was cool.
that was really awesome, because we have some friends in Adelaide that would love to do what we're doing, but their spouse isn't necessarily on board. So,
well, a lot of people would love to, and you might listen and going, "Yeah, that sounds really cool," but yeah, that's really good for you, but for us, it's
we
it's
just
but.
threw that butt out the window.
Yeah, get that butt right on out of here. But you can create these opportunities as well, and so 7-week road trip turned into 7 months. And I did some.
We got to Mackay, and it ended up not being a good fit for us.
Yeah, we kept praying about it. It just wasn't gonna work, which was okay. And then we just worked our way down the coast and did some locum work so we could make a few dollars and feed ourselves, buy fuel. And on the weekends we would take off because your house is on wheels, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
so every weekend we'd be in some tropical location for like 3 days and just seeing Australia. How awesome is that?
Snorkeling and
fishing,
catching beautiful rainbow fish, and
yeah, it was just awesome.
Did the flying fox over the jungle, over the rainforest.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cool.
And we unofficially homeschooled our kids.
Oh yeah, we pulled the kids out of school,
which worked out great. By the time we finally got back and enrolled them in school, they were the top of their class. So they got a real world education. And
so we were gone for 7 months.
Yeah. And
we kept praying and thinking about where we're going to go. And for some reason, we just kept thinking about Gympie. We've driven through it so many times on the way from Bundy down to Brisbane airports and things like that. But we've never really gotten off the Bruce Highway. Really?
Not really, no. I wasn't even all impressed with Gympie because driving through on the Bruce, it's nothing really to look at.
Yeah, but something just kept pulling.
There was a little.
And then we drove down and started looking at real estate. What happened?
We were just looking and we couldn't find any. We were like, we're just going to open we're going to open a practice from scratch in Gympie. We didn't know we had not one contact. We didn't know anybody. So, it was risky. We could have easily talked ourselves out of it. We had to borrow money to fit it out. Thank God the banks actually give you money, which is
what was really cool.
Crazy?
So we didn't have to worry about where we were going to live
Yeah,
we had our home.
We lived in our...
So that was one less worry.
That there is an RV.
It was one less worry. Yeah. But we rolled into town, enrolled the kids in the Christian college here, the Christian school.
Yep.
And then we instantly started looking for real estate. And the real estate that we had been looking at ended up not working out. All these spots didn't work out. And then at the very last second, the guy was like, well, what about this place? It's just right off the Bruce Highway. And it used to be an accountant's office. And we go in there and we kind of freaked out because there were all these rooms and corridors and it was blue and really dark and kind of scary looking. And I think that day you said, sure, we'll take it.
Well, we had to figure, I mean, doors open. It's a great building, great location. All the people that we needed, all the tradies. We needed a chippy, a carpenter that could do drywall stuff. We needed an electrician. We needed flooring people, lighting people, exterior paint. All of them came together from the day we signed the lease to the day we opened our doors and started trading and seeing people was literally 30 days. So we rocked up.
It was unbelievable.
So we rocked up to Gympie with nothing and a trailer, and 30 days later we were seeing people, and it's been an amazing blessing ever since. I mean, we couldn't even. We've had more success than we could have ever even thought was possible in a relatively short period of time. So
I think the take home from this would be that we really let go. And we didn't try to control everything, and we have to sort of reprogram ourselves, frequently, because it's not something that you think that you wanted. It's not something that just comes very easily to let go and not be in control of all of your decisions. But we really let go, and the same.
We just let God. We just let God. Yeah, let go and let God, which can be scary. But every time we've done that, we've been blessed. Every time we would be scared.
We are.
You could think all the things that could go wrong. But why bother with thinking that way? Just if you trust that voice, trust God, whatever that might be for you, the listener. But man, every time we don't trust that, we run into challenges, don't we?
And we never really knew what Gympie was, or really where it was, or how amazing it is.
It just felt right.
But now we're here, and we have lots of friends, and everyone's so supportive of us and our family and our practice, and our practice has been growing, and we've really been able to impact this community, and we really feel that God's got a purpose for us here.
And I would like to think, unless God moves us, that we'll be staying put for a little while. For those of you listening, every time you relocate, like we relocated internationally the first time, and then we relocated across the country from Bundaberg to Adelaide, and then Adelaide back across the country. So as you imagine, every time you do that, it's a bit of an upheaval. It's starting over. It drains your finances. So, but, again, no regrets. It's all been part of a journey, and we've been blessed every part of the way. We've never had to do without. So I guess our take home is let go and let God, whatever might be tickling your fancy, and you go, oh yeah, but. Well, we couldn't do that because we don't have enough resources. We don't have enough skills. We'd never started a practice from scratch by ourselves. Carolina had to work and be the office manager. She'd never worked a day in a chiropractic office.
That is not true.
Well,
I worked with when we were in Solana Beach, but it had been over 10 years since I had
but
worked.
you'd never had a rostered, like you're now day in and day out. But I
still helped out, and I knew the whole inner workings of the office, but I hadn't worked for over 10 years. Yeah. I was a stay-at-home mom.
So, it was... But
being thrown into an office manager position.
Anything and everything is possible if you let go and trust. I mean, obviously, you can't be silly. You make calculated decisions, pray about it, and if the answer comes back, go. Even though you might be thinking, this is scary, I don't know. If the answer comes back no, you act. If a door gets shut...
You can go.
Yeah, if the door gets shut, then you leave it. It might be something you want. Oh, I want this so bad. But if the door shuts, you got to listen to that as well. That's God telling you, nah.
Yeah, there's a difference. We've always...
Pray specifically for that. Open doors that we can't shut and shut doors that we can't open. And every time it just turns out to be a blessing when we listen, when we do that. That's how we ended up in Gympie. It's a little slice of paradise here. Great place to raise kids. We've been here for about a year and a half.
We started off at the caravan park.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It was great. Although the public showers and stuff, that gets a little dodgy after a while. But, thank you for...
It was unlimited water, whereas now we live just outside of town on a block, and we have tanks, so we have rain tanks. Water.
So we have this beautiful views and rolling hills, but we're not on town water, city water, which is good. We got good clean water, but we need rain to keep our tanks full. Our
and we
cisterns.
Don't have much. We're
That's
running
okay.
low. It did rain a little bit today, so we have a little bit more water.
Well, TRF family, we want to thank you for those of you who are actually listening. Thank you for allowing us to share with you. Again, this is FAQ Friday. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to get your questions, if they're personal questions, if they're health related, etc. Anything with health, happiness, and prosperity in your home, please send them our way at FAQ at therenegadefamily.com. FAQ at therenegadefamily.com. Please feel free to share this with your friends and family. Hope you found it inspiring and entertaining all at once. So we wish you and your family all the best. God bless. This is Dr. Todd.
And Carolina.
We'll catch you next time.
I love you, Daddy.
We're counting on you.
My mom is a renegade.
Thanks for tuning in to Renegade Radio. If you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a rating and review. Also, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TRFTribe. Please email us your questions for FAQ Friday, and we'll do our best to answer them in a future show. Simply email us at faq@therenegadefamily.com. If you got value from this episode and know someone else that would benefit from it as well, please share it with them.
Changing the world is going to start in your house. This is Dr. Todd, and from my family to yours, we wish you all the best. God bless, and we'll catch you soon.
Renegade.